What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yeah.
So, Nick, we got Islam Makhachev taking on a last-minute Dan Hooker here. The guy's been all over the place, everywhere except New Zealand, it seems like.
That's right.
Total boss move for Dan to take this fight. Very tough fight stylistically for him. His stock in my book went up, win or lose in this regard, but no sense in burying the lead here. I am going Islam Makhachev to win this fight. I think that he's got the right stylistic abilities to neutralize Dan Hooker's game, and we've seen Islam more open to exchanging in some of the kickboxing sequences that take place on the feet. I think maybe that could be where he could find a little bit of trouble, but ultimately I think he's going to use his range to get in, get takedowns, and ultimately wear Dan the man out.
Yeah, Dan Hooker obviously did a veteran move in taking the fight against Islam Makhachev. Likely the hardest fight in the UFC that you can have right now. You know, I don't think anybody could draw a card worse than Islam Makhachev. But when you think about Islam, a lot of people just draw the comparisons to Khabib, and for all the right reasons, because they're so similar and they're like brothers. But his striking is actually far superior, in my opinion, to Khabib's. And so he is more willing to engage, which can be a blessing and a curse. Like, I think he's able to be a threat on the feet more so than Khabib was in some of his fights. But that also leaves him open to being knocked out, which is Dan Hooker's specialty. You know, Dan Hooker's probably leaps and bounds and decades behind Islam as far as the ground stuff goes. But the striking, probably has the advantage. So I do think this will be an interesting fight. I don't think Dan has anything to lose in this one. There's not going to be any pressure on him. And win or lose, the UFC is still going to do good things for Dan Hooker. So because he did it for them. So I think that Dan Hooker is going to come out much more like he did last time and not like he did against Michael Chandler. I think he's going to come out just looking to fight, just willing to engage and looking to fight. And I think he might get taken down, might happen in every single round, but I think he's going to fight, and I think he has nothing to lose, no pressure, and that's what's going to make him pull a lot of effort out of Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. The fight against Nasrat was totally different. It was a totally different approach than the fight against Michael Chandler.
Right.
The fight against Michael Chandler, he kind of stayed back against the cage the whole time, was circling around, which is coincidentally exactly what the Dagestanis want you to do. Khabib made that grappling against the cage famous. You know, Khabib is not the best wrestler that the UFC's ever seen. There's Olympic gold medalists in wrestling, Henry Cejudo, that have competed, and other medalists, Daniel Cormier, et cetera, the list goes on, that have competed inside of the UFC Octagon. Khabib never rose quite to that level as far as pure wrestling goes, but he did something very different. He devised a wrestling style that works inside the octagon better than anything we have seen to date, and Islam is his star pupil and does it almost as well. I think Dan's best chance is to do exactly what you said, to come out and just make it a dogfight, just like he did against Nasrat. Now, what you saw against Nasrat, he was backing him up. He was landing the shots. He was making Nasrat respect his power, respect his punches, and so that was what kept the fight in the range that Dan wanted it. And funny enough, Dan actually hit some takedowns of his own and showed a new wrinkle in his game. Now, I don't think we're living in a parallel alternate universe where we're going to see Dan Hooker take down Islam Makhachev and beat him up on the ground, but his grappling has come along throughout his UFC career. You know, New Zealand is not known for its grappling. City kickboxing is not known for their superior grappling, but they're getting better, and I think this is going to make for an interesting fight, and I don't think it's just going to be the first takedown and it's over for Dan. Dan's a tough guy. Yeah. He can handle his own on the ground. Islam, I think, will have to slow cook him and eventually win the fight. But I think Dan's best chance is going to be to try to walk Islam down and hit him with something early that hurts him, that makes him respect that power so he doesn't feel like he can just get a takedown at will.
Yeah, I think Dan's team and City Kickboxing and Israel Adesanya have shown us lately that they are the best at quickly figuring out takedown defense.
Yeah.
And I think maybe they do that better than anybody because they do have elite level strikers and they need some good grappling defense, because if you can keep the fight standing it really heightens the chance for a city kickboxer to win the fight. So I think he is going to show us some good defense as far as that goes. I think whoever they're working with, and I know they've probably pulled all kinds of people from like Muay Thai guys and wrestlers and people from overseas and stuff. It's going to be interesting to see. I think he's going to show us some good defense, but he can't be afraid to throw his shots, being concerned about the takedown. It's going to happen eventually. Usually wrestlers have to change levels and close the distance, and that's where he could find some of those crazy knees that he throws, well-timed knees that are kind of random, but they're kind of his own. He's kind of made it part of his style. I think maybe that's what Islam would need to watch out for most. I think Hooker needs to just go out there and throw hands. Like I said, no pressures on him, so anything that he turns in will be accepted by the fans and by the UFC. And I just feel like he has the advantage as far as that goes, and hopefully he can get a win and go see his family for the rest of the year, because I know he's been like locked away and kind of on his own for the past several months. But man, it would be really nice to see him get a win. I just don't really see it happening. But hey, the odds are kind of crazy. And when you look at Dan Hooker and the ability to knock people out, and the fact that Islam Makhachev does get hit when he fights high-level strikers, maybe if you want to throw a few bucks on there that you don't mind potentially losing, Dan Hooker might be your guy to bet on.
Yeah, at plus 400 odds, you put down $1 to win 4 if you're a Dan believer. Islam, what you mentioned earlier, Islam Makhachev is a superior striker to Khabib, and I would agree with that 100%. However, Islam has been knocked out in his career and Khabib has not.
Right.
And that kind of speaks to the fact that Islam sometimes, and this is earlier in his career, he doesn't so much do it anymore, and his striking has also come along, but sometimes he'll play the game of his opponent, and it cost him one time, actually coincidentally, here in Houston. The opponent I'm drawing a blank on right now. But anyways, Islam Makhachev will engage in that striking firefight with Dan temporarily until he can get inside. And the thing that makes him so lethal is that he doesn't necessarily have to change levels like a Ben Askren, what we saw with the Jorge Masvidal knee, where you shoot down and boom, the next thing you know, you're waking up off the canvas. He can do a lot of takedowns without changing level through the use of body locks, pummeling, using the cage to his advantage, inside and outside leg trips. That's what makes his takedowns so deadly, is that they come from all over, and he doesn't necessarily have to put himself in a really precarious position to get them. He can get them in a relatively safe manner, relatively safe as you can be inside of the octagon of the UFC.
Yeah, exactly. As far as predictions go, I think you're taking Islam. I am as well, but I think it's going to be a decision. I think Dan's too tough.
Nice.
To get finished with the ground and pound. I think his defense is going to be pretty good on the ground. And submission skills, Islam's got them for sure. He's definitely a great submission artist. But Dan Hooker knows how to defend himself. And in a 3-round atmosphere, I just think there's not going to be enough time to for Islam to really showcase the submission aspect of his ground game. I think he's going to largely show dominant positioning, good striking from the top, and get a dominant 3-0 likely victory.
Yeah, it's tough to take Dan the man out of there. He's a durable guy, but I am going to predict Islam to take him out. I think he's going to do it in the second round. I think he's going to get a takedown towards the end of the first, wear Dan out a little bit, get a takedown earlier in the round, in the second round, and then I see him kind of, warming him up with some ground and pound, getting him to kind of squirm and get out of position. He's either going to expose his back, in which case it'll end by rear naked choke, or he's going to allow Islam to pass his guard into a full mounted position, and maybe we'll see Islam dismount and hit one of those famous head and arm triangles. It's going to be, in my prediction, official prediction, second round, either head and arm triangle or rear naked choke finish.
Very nice. Yeah, either way, the fight fans get a real treat this weekend. I mean, this thing is just stacked from top to bottom. So I'm really excited to see this return of Islam Makhachev, return of Dan Hooker, and I can't wait for it.
For sure. And they're saying Dan's the new Cowboy Cerrone.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Dan is absolutely in contention, what we call it the BMF list here on the Barnhill Brothers channel. Dan Hooker certainly has, if that belt ever comes back up for contention again. I think Dan Hooker, by taking this fight and potentially missing the entire rest of 2021 with his family, certainly has earned a spot on the potential candidates that could one day fight for the BMF belt.
Yeah, and only good things happen when you do things like what Cowboy's done and what Dan Hooker is currently doing for the UFC. So props to him.
For sure. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Let us know your predictions in the comments. We always love engaging with you guys there. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already and you love combat sports content, we always appreciate that. A like on the video and listen to us on audio where you check out podcasts. Until the next one, guys, have a wonderful day.
Peace.